Ah,
How many seats do we have open now?
3, 2? Kind of maybe.
I see.
That sounds very definite. Uh-huh, yeah. Wait, then we'll take the roll call if she comes. We'll think optimistically. We need to start on time, though? Say we do, but always add her when she comes. Gotta do approval later in the meeting. If she said she was, then. Okay, good idea, though. Good thinking.
We're just
Asking
gonna
you.
have to ask.
Oh. Oh, there she is. Good. Really? I would think not, because they have to use the space for other meetings. They wouldn't want us to run behind. Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Urbana Arts and Culture Commission meeting on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, beginning at 4:30 p.m. We will start our meeting today with a call to order and a roll call.
Lori Fuller,
Present.
Alicia Rodriguez,
Present.
Sarah Buckman,
Present.
Barbara Hedlund,
Present.
and Mark Anthony Makem.
Present.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. I believe we need to take these in two separate votes, or can we combine both of them together? Do we have a motion or any discussion about the previous minutes that we weren't able to vote on because of attendance? Anybody have any questions or recommendations? Rob?
Motion to approve
A
the
motion
minutes.
to approve. I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Aye.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself already. We have a second from Mark Anthony
Yes.
Mason. All right. Now we have a vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in, that was unanimous. Do we have any additions to our agenda today?
No additions to the agenda.
Is there any public input for today's meeting?
No public input.
Okay. Then we get to the good stuff, the presentations. Today we have some grant presenters with us. The first one to present today will be Chris Hughes regarding the Secret Garden CU. Welcome.
All right. Okay, so my grant was titled Capturing the Community Through a Collaborative Collage, a Natural Portrait of the Community. I want to start a little bit circling back to prior to this grant. I'm not going to give you my life story, but I think it all comes full circle. I started doing art in this community in 2016, and for me, the highlight of it was absolutely connecting with our community members, and that includes artists and just the public that was there to support us as artists. And that was something that I really enjoyed. And then the pandemic hit, and I had to find a way to still support that engagement that I think we all craved during it, as well as the public kind of, I think, looking for that engagement with artists that we couldn't have any longer. And so my daughter and I came up with an idea to do what's called an art and seek. We based this off of some other really high-profile artists that were on Instagram that we love to follow. What this looked like was we would make poem riddles, and then the riddles would kind of give you clues to the location of the art. Here you can see it's at the baseball field, at one of our local parks. And we would have folks, we would release those on Instagram, and they would go and they would, whoever wanted to, they would go out and they would use the clues, guess where they were, drive around and try to find them. And so here's some of the winners for that. At the same time that I was doing this during the pandemic, I was actually generating the idea. So even though I started this in 2023, I had been thinking about this idea since 2019 to try to engage the community at large. And this really came from the fact that with my conversations constantly came up of community members saying, oh, I have this collection or that collection. And that was so motivating for me to think, wow, what does everybody have in their house? And what would it look like if we all kind of came together and shared that stuff and made it into a single piece? Hence the motivation for this project that I proposed. So just as a quick summary of the project, I hope you all remember, but it was effectively trying to do just that, represent the community through collected specimens that were then donated by community members over this last summer, and then to represent them in a piece. And so we'll talk about the components of that today. A huge part of this completely hinged on, the success or failure of this largely hinged on whether or not the community was into it. And I had to I appreciate you all trusting me, and I had to kind of trust my instinct with the interactions I'd had over the many years at art events with our community. And lo and behold, they really turned up. So I showed up for 11 events, which was a huge overcommitment in the summer. But in about 3 or 4 months, I did 11 events in town. I'm going to highlight a couple of these today so that you can kind of see what those activities looked like. The first one I want to highlight is the IGB Pollen Power program, and this is run in part with the grant collaborator that I had for my grant, Julia Pollack, who's the leader of the Institute for Genomic Biology's Art of Science. And so what this program does, Pollen Power, over the summer, it's effectively a 1-week summer camp for kids. And this week it featured Unit 4 students that were 5th through 8th graders. And I got to come in and work with 3 of the classes. They were kind of divided into 3 classes of about groups of 15 or 20. And what's cool about this was a multi-day experience. So Julia led the first day, which was, hey, let's go out to the prairie. She got permission to go collect in the local nature space close by. And they went out, you can see the students collecting there in the bottom left, and they just chose whatever resonated with them, what they connected with. They tried to learn the species names when they could. And then you can see they had these little vases that these little glass vials up on the top left. They were preserved over that night. And then I showed up the next day, talked to them a little bit about what the art looked like, what it meant to preserve flowers. You can see the students, they were able to interact with some of my own specimens. They were able to practice with the silica. They all then took their flowers that they had collected or grasses or whatnot, and then they were able to put them in the drying solution. And then I was able to take those home, dry them, and then have them as really my first specimens for the piece. So that really set the tone for what I was trying to get out of it. Some learning engagement, some back and forth about what kind of they knew about plants, what they were interested in, kind of how I was interested in it, and really getting our hands dirty into this stuff, right? We had a similar great engagement through the Urbana Park District with Urbana Neighborhood Nights. I did 2 of these, and these served as both collection sites. We would give out free bouquets, so if people just were like, oh, hey, here's some flowers from my garden, and they could then in turn donate one back if they wanted to. We also we had permission from the Park District to have folks collect on site at that park for those days. So they were out exploring the park during that time, and you can see here some of the participants and what they kind of found or contributed. I also had my activity set up so people could say, what's the process? What do you do with this stuff? So it was all right there. They could bury their own little specimen that they found or brought, and then it came into to be a part of the piece. The bread and butter of this project was absolutely the farmers markets. I really thought that this would be a great place for people to drop off. So I was posting consistently on my social media apps, saying, talking about the project and saying, hey, if you're already coming to the farmers market to get something, go ahead and drop off your specimen for the week. And so we use it as a place for advertising. So in June, not a lot of people kind of knew about the project. So we were there handing out flyers and little postcards and kind of giving them examples. And you can see Wendy up there in the top. We had our big sign that we had printed, and we had examples of things for people to interact with. And that really got the word of mouth out. And then, of course, when July came, there was more folks there, attached to the dates. The flyer had the dates, that we would be at the farmer's market. And you can see some of the stuff that folks brought. They brought flowers, they brought insects, they brought eggshells. We got a huge variety of things, which is exactly what we were hoping for. And this culminated in connections with people being like, I didn't bring anything, but my gosh, just come over to my house. Here's my address, and you can pick whatever you want. And I get invited in for tea. It was just like, it was exactly what we were looking for, which is how our community is and is so lovely. That's what we were getting, right? We were getting those connections and getting to chat about things and sharing stories. So stories was a big part of this, and we'll talk about the story map in a moment. But everybody, when they dropped it off, had the opportunity either virtually or with a physical pen and paper there to share their stories about what they were dropping off, or just also their perspective around nature and this environment here in our local area, right? Because it was about the local environment. I'll show you how those came into play here in a minute. So what this culminated with these kinds of 3 months of collections and great community participation was the ultimate piece. You can see an image of it here, and then some close-ups. This is my day. I look really happy and tired because I had just finished the piece and got it in the frame, which was in and of itself a feat. So it was quite a relief to have it up and running. The piece was entitled Reflection. This is This is the image that was shared with the community. We actually printed 150 free prints that were shared then at the open exhibit, so we'll talk about that. But it was 32 inches by 40 inches. And it had over 45 community submissions, and that typically was multiple people submitting. So the amount of engagement was higher than that. We had over 100 species. 20 of those were insects. 200 specimen pins in this, pinning them together, about 6 hours of drying time, and around 30 hours for me to pin it all in place. So we got exactly what we hoped for, right? Look at that, mushrooms, eggshells, bark, flowers, so many varieties, right? Some people brought things dried already, some people brought things fresh. That was really nice to see. A large component of this, that Wendy Dorman, this is her here when she was helping with the farmer's market, assisted with. She's a grad student on campus, and she studies thinking about information maps. And so we worked with her and got her paid as part of the grant funding to make a companion to the piece, to really highlight the story. So it wasn't just about the nature. We really wanted to represent the community both in the piece with the physical items, as well as through thinking about geographic space. And so every green tag on here is a location of somebody who participated. And let's see if I can do this. It's gonna let me. So there's an interactive story map. This is the link that is still accessible and was accessible during the exhibit. It goes into a little bit about the project, but the most important thing is it's interactive. So you can click on a particular one and it highlights it up. So she says, they were exploding around my mailbox, right? Oh, you guys can't see this. Oh, let me see if I can probably maybe, let's see. I might only share like one screen at a time. I'm not sure how to get out of presenter mode. That might be part of what the issue is. Yes, that was it. Okay, there we go. So you can see here, you can click over. And here I found pretty flowers in our yard. My mom told me about the project and I wanted to do it, right? She talks about the flowers that she likes. You know, some people just put what they were. This was a bouquet that was associated with the master gardeners. Here's somebody on a walk with my cup of coffee, laying on the ground in perfect form, as if his time had come and peacefully lay down to pass away. So people really wrote, nice, lovely things. There were some nice, thoughtful things there. And it really allowed the community, they didn't donate the chicken. They donated the eggs from the chicken. Very key point here. But it allows us to kind of associate, right? Each element in the piece has its own story and is represented by its own community member. And so people were able to volunteer, like whether or not they wanted to put their face in this. This was up to them and their image. And so, yeah, it was something that you could kind of move around and kind of see, what our community represents. Another big component of this, another key player, was Nathan Westerman. He's a local artist who is vastly experienced not only in wood, and that's how I knew him from his woodwork, but he actually played a pivotal role, and he has a huge background in installation for art museums. And so he was so helpful for me to think through, how do we safely install a piece like this? And he hand-built this frame, which was great because the size of the piece, when you get that big, you really need quite a deep frame because otherwise it just looks flat, right? So the bigger you go, the flatter it looks unless you have that depth. So he was able to accommodate that. And we got some really nice museum quality glass in it, so it didn't even look like it had glass. In fact, the first person who came started to touch it was like, oh, and I'm like, please don't touch it. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking like, why are you touching it? But it also like, hey, we tricked you and you thought you could, like it was really good quality. So we really appreciated his craftsmanship on that. I want to talk a little bit about the exhibit. This is still going on for a couple of days. It's running at the Anita Purvis Nature Center. They graciously offered to host it, and it's been on since September. The opening reception had over 200 attendees, and I think that's really attributed to the fact that there was 3 ongoing activities that day, which was great. I think 2 of which were actually funded through the Urbana Arts and Culture grants. So that was cool that we got to like celebrate several projects on the same day. So you could see some people probably came and had no clue what the project was about, and then were engaging, and then other people came to like be like, I want to see where my thing ended up in the piece. So it was cool to kind of get that range of interaction. So here you can see we had the grant funded we did several art mart boards for food. It was a big hit. There was barely anything left. We also had an interactive table where you could use a microscope and look at different specimens, and that was part of the Art of Science activity component for that. So we had another colleague of Julia's come out and run that for anybody who wanted to participate. The exhibit wasn't just the single art piece. It was collaborative with Julia Pollock's Art of Science work. And so her work was there, and then I had a couple other pieces. What's really cool is one of the activities that I didn't feature in the slides, but was the Camp Fresh with Urbana Park District. That's teens. When I went to them, I actually brought dried flowers and a frame and the mat board, and I was like, let's make a piece. And so it was so cool. They just would go around, and each person would pick a flower, put it in, and then the next person would build on that. And so we featured that piece at the show as well. So that's still up and has like credit to the kids that were a part of that. So that was really exciting to feature a lot of artwork from around the community. And then here, just so you can get a sense of what the setup looked like, we actually had the room very dark, and we had crickets playing in the background. So when you walked into the room, so the hallway was really beautifully lit, and it had all of Julia's work. And then when you came into this isolated room, it looks brighter than it was, but it was quite dark. There were spotlights on the piece and then crickets playing. And I think it just like really set the mood. And then behind it, the only other light was the projector with the computer, which said like, please come and interact with me. And then people would scroll over it. And as you would scroll over, that was nice because it wasn't just what you saw, other people could see it too. So, and they would then feel like they had permission to go up and kind of interact with it as well. We had a huge range of ages of participation, which I loved. Little kids would come and donate things, and all the way up, right? And so super, elderly folks like being like, yes, let's do this. And I think that just really shows how the love of nature and natural things just surpasses, any of those boundaries. And more pictures. There's the free prints. So we put 150 prints out. I think about half of them went the first day, and then after the first day, we left the prints there for Anita Purvis, and then I would just refill them until I ran out. But that was what I had budgeted for, which was great. And that was really a thank you because what we had to do, I had to decide what am I going to do with this piece at the end. And so I had decided, and I had proposed this in my application, that we would do a drawing. So what I did was effectively anyone who contributed, and this is kind of a selling point of the farmers market, so I came online like, and if you contribute a specimen, you are entered into the drawing for the giveaway of the art piece. And they're like, like that's so cool. So, and then I would let them know, anybody who participates and even just shows up, like it doesn't matter who you are, like you can have a free print. And we wanted them to feel like they were getting something back. Because let's be real, it does take effort to participate in something like this, right? Just to I can barely remember to like do my to-do list, much less be like, I'm gonna forage and bring this and get it, so fill out the form. So I really wanted to give a thank you to the community. The final piece giveaway was really special for a couple reasons. I'm getting so emotional. Ooh, sorry. I didn't expect this. So sorry. Ooh, so it was really special. I think making this piece was really a dream of mine. And so I was very nervous about giving it away and doing a drawing where, I appreciate that people participated, but they might be like, I don't want the piece, or like, great, or just like, and so I was, me as an artist, I really was like, I hope that this goes to the right home. And I really had to trust that it would all work out. And of course the magic, it did. My daughter wanted to do the drawing, so she's been really involved in this. So That's her there, my daughter Cricket, and she drew out the name, and it was Edith Peacock, who you may know. She's a business owner in town. This is her shock, and then she started crying, so everybody's crying. I couldn't believe she was there, first of all, right? Like the odds of this is a 2-hour reception. Many people cycled through. The fact that she was there during the drawing time. Edith, I've known since I moved here in 2009. She's cut my hair all these years. She has been so supportive of artists in town, right? And she's been very supportive of me. And she had, she was one that I'd seen at the farmer's market. I was like, how are you not contributing? You've given me stuff over the years. And she's like, oh, I forgot. And eventually she finally remembered to bring something to the last farmer's market. So for me, it was really special that she got the piece. That was just such a validation for me that like we did it right. It went to. I felt so good giving away the piece, and she's planning to, which is really cool. Kind of goes with the community vibe. Is she's planning to have it hosted in her shop, so it'll be there for everybody. And she said she's working with somebody right now to get the good lighting set up. She's so excited. It couldn't have gone to a better home, I think, to really just go with the whole intention of this project. So that was the biggest risk, and that's totally out of my control, right? And that was really powerful to have it happen in such a great way. So, yeah. So this is the team. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm basically done. Yes. This is the end right here. And then I just wanted to talk briefly about hurdles. I definitely over-promised on my engagement. And then the financial component, I just wasn't aware of the everything's taxable income, and that would have been great to know in advance, because then I can plan for how much of an honorarium to give myself. So that's just a little bit of feedback. But truly, this was a dream for 3 years to be able to do this project, and it couldn't have gone better. I just wanted to say how thankful I am that you guys supported this. So that is it. Questions?
Photographer.
That was my husband who took that picture, yeah. But the rest of it's usually me with all these, right? So.
Hi, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much. We saw the piece in the Native Purvis. I started being part of the Natural Area Studies group, where it's mostly older folks who hike around and learn about the wonderful nature in the area. And we were going into the Native Purvis Nature Center. And we saw, I was like, wow. We were just like floored.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was so fun to see people's reactions. Like people were like, when they came in, we're like, so that's what as an artist, that's what you're waiting for, right?
It was that everyone had that impact for everyone who saw it, and it was amazing. And then we were thinking, and that's what I was thinking too, but I don't know how many people were thinking about the same thing, how we can contribute to that more, because we're tramping around out
Absolutely.
in the woods.
Yeah.
Learning, and they're master naturalists that usually lead the
yeah.
And they're folks who just become master naturalists, and it's been a wonderful thing, and we were thinking, wow, this would be so wonderful to continue to do something like that. So if you are interested
Absolutely.
somehow in connecting with a master naturalist group, they've been around for a long, long time, and something like this would be wonderful to continue in different ways.
Absolutely.
That you and others think would be wonderful to do. But it was just like you had an incredible impact with everybody.
Oh, that's great.
Who saw it, and I'm very happy that you've done this project, and looking forward to anything else that you do in the future.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comment, because actually part of what I scratched from the grant that we had originally put in it was we were going to have a Facebook page with trying to have some master naturalists as a part of it, so where people, if they found a specimen and they wanted to donate, they could be like, hey, I don't know what this is, or we could have like master naturalists, like tidbits of information, but it just felt like so much to try to coordinate that and corral that early on that I pulled it from the project, but it was a part of it that I had really, for me, I personally had also wanted to, to have that resource to learn from. And so I know that you're absolutely right. The knowledge is so high here in our space, and so I think it's important for us to try to find ways to support that and promote it and share it.
We'll be in contact.
Yeah, great. I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that, I think COVID has done some horrible things for us, but one of the benefits, this is a great example of giving us a chance to kind of take a step back and say, how can we really, work on our community in a way that's beneficial for all? And you did such a fantastic job with that.
Thank you.
The fact that there are people that will probably have those prints for their entire lives, and every time they look at it, they'll remember the fun they had making it and the friends and connections they made while doing so. And I just think this is a great use of the community to make something together that brings them together. So I hope this will inspire a lot more similar projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, it's lovely.
Imagine it probably gave some parents some ideas when their kids come and say, I'm bored, I have nothing to do.
Yeah. Go collect some things and make something now out of it. Yeah. So my daughter does. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Congratulations. And our next grant presenter is Charlie Harris on the Rose Bowl Aftermarket.
Hi, everybody. Out of town, so I'm calling. And
We get a little more volume on his voice.
hello.
Hi, Charlie. Vivian's getting your presentation up right now.
Public input, we might want to turn up his microphone.
Yeah, I can't hear equipment.
No, it's on our end, of course.
Okay, the first
Okay,
slide is
fair
up. I
enough.
don't know if you can see that.
I can't. But I tried to make it like pretty straightforward in such a way that it doesn't really matter if we're on the same page, but we can try.
Charlie, have you been on UPTV's YouTube page? Because you can
I-
actually.
Oh, there, now it's up. Okay, sorry. I was
Okay.
just seeing, I wasn't, got it. Cool. I think there's a little bit I'm not sure if you guys, I don't think there will be a delay on your end, but there might on mine, but we'll just navigate that. Anyways, hi everyone. Thank you so much for supporting arts and culture in Urbana. So it looks like my slide's up, and this was year 2 of this sort of initiative. Last year, for those that remember, we did, we sort of incorporated all sorts of stuff, and we did the tier 3, and this year we scaled it back and just focused on Saturday afternoon. Noon till 5 p.m., and we called it Aftermarket, and they were presented outdoor, weather permitting, outdoor at the Rose Bowl Tavern in downtown Urbana. So, okay, next slide. Is that working? No? Hello?
Are you seeing that the slide that says we did it?
Oh, wow, it doesn't look very good. Okay, sorry, y'all. Well, I'm going to go off my presentation because for some reason I had really nice fonts and colors. Sorry about that, everyone. I'll just be sure to be very thorough in the slides will be referenced. Hopefully the photo came through. I think that's probably the most interesting part. Okay. So yeah, we succeeded in presenting a diverse collection of inclusive content and events in downtown Urbana. Aftermarket focused on primarily Saturday daytime events which occur outdoors in the parking lot patio at the Rose Bowl Tavern. The reason we I feel as if this program was success in accomplishing the goals of the Urbana Arts and Culture Program is that presenting music performance at an accessible time, being noon till 5 p.m. on Saturday, when not everybody, but most people have work off, and all ages are welcome. It's outside, so it doesn't have the deterrent of being in the Rose Bowl in a bar, or maybe in some other space that maybe people just don't feel comfortable indoors from COVID, or the way about it, I think just produces a nice element of inclusivity and welcoming. So I'm going to go to the next slide. We collaborate with a diverse collection of local artists and organizations. As I said, the the inclusive and accessible to Urbana was such in addition to the music and performance. And just kind of bringing art and sound and lighting in downtown Urbana. Okay. Bye.
Audio presentation?
Charlie, do you think we could pause for a second and see if we can get the sound to be at least a little bit louder?
And clearer?
There's a big lag between what's on the show and what we're hearing.
Okay. So, wow, sorry this didn't format well. I swear it's not what mine looks like. So I can
Wireless signal at this
try.
time of day.
I'm gonna
Vivian
try-
is just gonna check with a staff member to see if we can fix anything or tweak anything on our end. So no worry. We can still see the slides, so don't worry at all. The text is still there. I think you were cutting
Okay,
out a little bit, so I didn't know if you're.
Okay, let me try just reconfiguring my headphones real quick.
Okay.
And see if this works any better. Give me a second. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
You're still cutting out.
Okay. I'm not sure that it's me then.
I think that's actually better. I think it's better, louder now.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thanks, Charlie. I think
I'm good.
it's better now.
Okay, great. Okay. So, okay, let me go back to my slide. A lot of this I talked about. Summary of the program, so everyone knows exactly what it was. Noon to 5 p.m. on Saturday every week, no cover charge. Trying to have programming that was cast a wide net, I guess, in terms of who would enjoy it. Not anything that was too loud or too niche in an effort to just have, programming in this sort of nuanced way. I think we had a couple repeats due to just having trouble finding, 52 different sets of programming for Saturdays, but we pretty much had all, there were 2 slots, a minimum of 2 slots every Saturday, and each one of those was a different group, musician, organization, primarily focusing on Champaign County and adjacent areas, artists, and organizations. Okay, next slide should be a photo. See if that's working. Oh, that looks better.
Font is better now, too. It's not all.
Great. Okay, so the next slide's a photo of me, and I think we're just going to hit a bunch of photos here. Ooh, a blank slide. Yeah, so just kind of like throwing some photos at you. Oh, geez. Hopefully those come through. Yeah, photos of the events. Just showing kind of the various vibe and what it is for those interested in seeing. And then we get to our highlights. If you want to just cycle through those, Vivian, until you get to the slide that says highlights. All right. So yes, I'd say for me personally, accomplishing this another year was a highlight in and of itself. It's a lot of work to put together all those bookings and facilitate with the sound engineers and promote the shows and make sure everyone's comfortable and doing all that. Continuing to create work opportunities for performers and organizations and local engineers is a highlight and an important part of this program. And then we did see increased attendance this year. I believe this has to do mostly with one, moving farther from COVID lockdowns and people, I think, starting to go out more to events and gatherings. And then also, I think people are just creating habits, and doing this for the second year, focused on this Saturday slot starting at noon. I think people are starting to know it's there. Between that, if you want to go to the next slide. And Vivian, if you just want to scroll through those next slides about Girls Rock, I can talk about the event until you get to the next highlight. So here's just some photos. This is the second year in a row, or third year, that we've collaborated with the Girls Rock CU, a local organization promoting girls and non-binary involvement in making music and forming bands and performing. And it's just a delightful event. And it was a pleasure to collaborate with them. It's just some nice photos showing them. Kind of people of all ages, and lots of parents and community members came out to that event, and everyone's singing along and just being so supportive, and it's really special organization. And so they held their fest for one of the Saturday aftermarkets. Yep. And then another highlight is collaborating with Uniting Pride of Champaign County. Yeah, you can move on and we'll talk about the Pride Fest. So they had some performances and a drag storytelling event and a Pride trivia, and they also held a market, and it was just phenomenal to be a part of that. And the arts grant supporting us being able to facilitate this programming and make this happen is just wonderful to see in downtown Urbana. And yeah, always fun to just have lots of activity, and there are info booths and makers and people selling stuff. Really fun. And then one other highlight that I'm just calling out a couple of them, as you all, as I said, there were 2 shows every Saturday. These were just 2 bigger events. And then I do want to highlight just one more show that I really enjoyed, which was actually our first concert, which was a local group, the Paw Paws, that does kids music. So in contrast to kind of a lot of our programming, which was kind of appealing to all ages. The Pawpaws really were doing a kids show, and that's how we kicked off the first week of May for this program. And it was just really fun to, we got a nice spring day, and they set up on the floor and brought coloring stuff for the kids, and there was a hula hooper, and that was just a nice touch. To have that, especially the Rose Bowl doesn't see a lot of kids programming just because of it being a tavern and the nature of the thing. So it was fun to activate the space in that way. So that was a personal highlight. Okay, moving on. What did we learn? What's next? What can be improved on and expanded? Just a slide prompting myself. And I guess I'm just going to use these prompts and talk about it. Like I said, in year 2 of this series, people seem to be catching on, forming habits around, downtown Urbana, Saturday afternoon, there's something to do. And I think that has had an impact on the increased attendance this year. Something I did notice, which is I'm sure no surprise to people, but our best attended events were always centered around collaborations with other organizations. The more promotion, the more mobilizing people for a cause or for something really special and unique always kind of had the biggest crowds and the most vibrant events in that way. However, the sparsely attended concerts were still delightful. Something that I'd like to see if this project continues is trying to further have cross-promotion and marketing collaborations to help get more people out, to continue supporting the arts. Last year I had some trouble facilitating collaboration with the actual market, and hopefully next year can just get a little bit more of a jump start and find some time to come up with creative ways to collaborate with the market, at least to spread the word, to hopefully get more people enjoying these performances. And I saw Kelly's in the audience. Hi, Kelly. A nice little thing is 40 North has introduced their own Saturday afternoon series called Postmark. And so hopefully we're going to see from that and maybe other people a continued activation of Urbana daytime on the weekends of downtown Urbana. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that's centered around arts and performance and creativity and collaboration. And sort of in summary, maybe the biggest thing I've learned, and I think this is the same thing that I sort of ended with last year, was the work going into this and the continued work organizing and presenting in Urbana. Just I'm constantly just getting reinforcement that support for the arts is so necessary, and it's hard work. And for myself, I'm hoping to find time and resources to continue other grant writing and seeking, because I think it's just a great way to uplift the arts in our hometown and our community. So with that, thank you all so much. I hope I didn't go over time too much. Sorry about the technical difficulties. But yes, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or inquiries or comments, please, I'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Charlie.
Congratulations on pulling all of that together. It's a lot of work to do. I've done it myself, and I know how hard it can be to get people motivated, but once they get involved, they really want to be a part of something.
Yeah, it's been good to see, and it's it seems to be growing. Like I said, it's been nice to see new faces and consistent people coming out, particularly this Saturday daytime. Of course, now there's a little bit of a lull due to that series being over, but spoiler alert, I hope to continue it in 2024.
Yeah, thank you again, Charlie, for everything that you do for community programming and the arts in Urbana. And I think it's really great to see all those photos of collaborations that you've been working with this past year. So I think it's also great to have events after the market to kind of keep everybody in Urbana and continue programming on popular Saturdays. So thanks for everything you're doing.
Thanks.
Bye, thank you, Charlie. Our next presenter is Andrew, is it Binder or Binder? Deliracy Conspiracy.
Yeah, it's Bender, but
Thank you so much.
I don't. Yeah, I don't get offended if you call me Binder. Yeah, so conspiracy deliracy. That was my project, and just let me know when we're ready with the slides.
We have the slides up right now, so we're ready.
Great. And you can all hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, this is my project, Conspiracy Deliracy. So before I go into what it is, I'm Andrew Binder. I recently did my doctorate at Champaign, Urbana, and I'm a bass player that played a lot around Urbana and surrounding areas. And yeah, so the conspiracy deliracy. So the idea of this project was a music project to, and you can go on to the next slide if you haven't already, but it consists of all original modern jazz music influenced by popular conspiracy theories. So half of them are about, Bigfoot, the moon landing, stuff like that, wacky stuff like that. And then the other half are based on conspiracies about musicians, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But the music in the group is kind of a statement on today's era of misinformation, as I call it, with the internet and people taking what they want to hear and using it to support their narrative. So in the same way, in a similar fashion, I sort of take from other music and twist it and distort it to make it a different version, distorted version of that with this project. And which I'll discuss a little bit more in a second, but I really wanted to feature the Urbana area resident musicians that I met while I was there. Brian Stark, who now lives in New York, and he's also been part of done some Urbana arts projects, as I'm sure you all remember. And Justin Dyer, Frank Niemeyer, Jose Gobo, Bert Reeder, Max Ozawa, and myself. So the resulting compositions that I made are as follows. So Squatch Watch, which is inspired by Bigfoot. Stevie Isn't Blind, inspired by Stevie Wonder. Mandela effect, which is a conspiracy. It's kind of like false collective memory. Area 51, based on the event that a bunch of people would rush and try to break into Area 51. That happened, that tried to happen in 2019. Moonwalk, based on the moon landing that people think was faked. Katy Perry being a lizard person. Dark Side of the Mattress Firm. So this one is a cross between Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, specifically Money, and Mattress Firm. People think is a money laundering scheme. Birds Aren't Real, where people think birds are actually surveillance drones for the government. Avril Lavigne is dead, and she's been replaced by a doppelganger. And Beyonce is a part of the Illuminati, and she runs the world or the government, yada, yada, yada. And I should say, I don't believe any of these. It's just, I'm kind of almost making fun of some of these, and hence the delirious part, or the delirious part of the name. And so a little bit about how I wrote some of these. Like, for instance, the Stevie Wonder one, I took the bass line to Superstition and I inverted it. So I flipped it upside down. I stretched it out, making it into sort of like a technically 9/4, and kind of like made it into like a more distorted version of the original Superstition. And then I also used some aspects inspired from like Sir Duke and other songs of his. And so I did that with pretty much every single piece that I did. And again, going back to taking this information, this prior information, and distorting it. Like Rush for Area 51, I inserted, like, smushed a bunch of space movie themes together. Katy Perry, I have a bunch of Katy Perry songs matched up with Herbie Hancock's Chameleon in a way. But these are also, they're distorted to the point where you don't really recognize them unless you kind of know what you're listening for. And then going forward, as a part of the project, I decided to make original artwork that to depict, well, this also ended up being a recording project, which this is all for, but I made original artwork just because I wanted to be creative. Original artwork for each individual track, which is on the next slide after the front and back one. And kind of leaning into this collage aspect that's often associated with conspiracies. And I'm not really an artist, but I just kind of went for it. A quick thing of how I did it, I just took pictures of things I found around the house or things I had, and then I cut them up in Illustrator and then pieced them together into these little caricatures on each individual track to make this colorful depiction to go along with the music. Right, next slide. So after this, there's a few clips of the performance, which come from the entire recorded performance, which was at the Rose Bowl Tavern on a Wednesday, October 11th. And the performance was about 2.5 hours with the presentation. And the presentation was talking about briefly how I went about composing the pieces, as I just discussed, and then saying how to write like a conspiracy theorist, essentially. That was the catch. But which that'll be later. But I'll have these clips, few of these clips played. About 1 minute I picked out from the performance, and 3 of them. So if you want to play them, Vivian. Sure. Oh. Should be at a certain timestamp.
Could you give me an idea of where that might be? Because I don't think it is letting me.
Yeah, it should be. I have it at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. It should be. Sorry about that. Okay, probably good on that one. That was Squatch Watch based on, it was a contrafact, which is a reharmonization on John Coltrane's Giant Steps. So it was kind of a pun on Giant Steps and Bigfoot, with like a classic jazz, more of a straight ahead jazz vibe. The next one is Moonwalk. Is that cutting in and out for you guys too?
Yeah, it was stopping and then starting.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
Is there a time that you would like us to start this second video at?
Yes. Hold on. It should be 55 minutes, 15 seconds, I believe. actually, I gave you the wrong timestamp. That was the next slide, which was Katie is a lizard, but that's fine. So that was the funky one based on Herbie Hancock's Chameleon and a bunch of Katy Perry songs like California Girls, Dark Horse, Peacocks, stuff like that. Yeah, for time's sake, we'll probably go ahead, but we have the full performance documented and everything. Yeah, the music itself spanned a lot of colorful genres, I guess. And so, you know, it wasn't just straight ahead jazz. It was like funky and some more wild stuff, out stuff with the Area 51 one. And to do that, because of that, I tried to make it so it sort of had something for everybody to catch on to and enjoy, and then maybe help them think of, you know, listening in a different way, both musically and then maybe in a way of how, you know, they view conspiracies or information. Okay, so for the workshop aspect of the presentation, this slide is basically the sheet that I gave out to everyone that came in, and quick and dirty tips on how to write like a conspiracy theorist. And good composers borrow, great ones steal. Igor Stravinsky famously said that. And I'm not going to go through all the points, but these are just the points I went over, and I showed specific examples from the pieces alongside the stuff that I was influenced by. And these were meant to be for musicians of any skill level. So for instance, you could take a chord progression. There's a lot of pop songs today that are just only 4 chords and they use the same chord progression. So that's an example of stealing a chord progression and then making something your own on top of that. It doesn't have to be as complicated as what I did. Just different ideas on how to, you know, learn by example, learn by others' examples, and instances of that, and making adjustments to that and melodies, moving it around in certain ways, stuff like that. And I guess let's go on to the next slide. It was so this is just a breakdown of the expenses. $250 for commissioning the music, $50 for me organizing the group, organizing everything, $200 for RBTV for photography and video. The big number for the musicians, we had to put a lot of time into this music because it was pretty hard, pretty difficult. But you know, at first they were kind of like, you know, I don't know about this thing. This is kind of weird. But then everybody was really buying in by the time we were getting the music down, and the money really helped make that possible. Because, you know, getting 7 people together in a room is hard enough as it is. And when they're musicians, it's probably even harder. And then I promoted some online via, for instance, Facebook and stuff like that, and put flyers around town. And then the final was for some printing for music and for the handouts. And so the outcomes of the project was a compelling performance of original music with colorful subject matter relevant to modern times. And the workshop, assisting in other aspiring musicians. The Rose Bowl has musicians coming in and out all the time. The Wednesday night that we did it is a prime time for jazz, and there's a jam session later. So many musicians who would come out for that came out to our performance. And these ideas, you know, several people came up to me afterwards and were like, wow, I really, you know, didn't think of it like that. That this was really great that you had this simplified sheet that I could use and stuff like that. And then other people came up to me and said, wow, this is really impactful group and performance and a really unique subject matter, really unique type of music, and really relevant to what's going on today. And it helps that people are interested in conspiracy theories. So that kind of was my way to hook everybody in. And yeah, this will lead to future use of this and other opening doors for my professional career as an artist, and such as using this workshop for presentations. And it led to professional recording of the album, and we took this music elsewhere outside Urbana too. But yeah, I guess for time's sake, that's about it. All I got. Thank you for making this possible. And let me know if you have any questions or comments, or yeah, thanks again. A lot of fun to be a part of this.
Thank you, Andrew. And would it be okay to have that link shared with the Arts Commission for like the video that you have on your presentation? Yeah. Okay.
For sure. I think I have it. It's just on my drive right now, my Google Drive. But I was in the process of uploading it to YouTube, and I was having issues just because of space. So I'm gonna put it on YouTube though, and then I'll share that, and then all the photos that were included as well. I could also just share a Google Drive that I got from RBT, Rose Bowl TV, with you guys, and that's on there as well. But yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I have a question. What was your attendance like for the event at the Rose Bowl?
It was great. Brian mentioned to me later, did you count the attendance? And I was like, oh. So unfortunately, I didn't count, but I think it was the best attended show that I've played at the Rose Bowl. And I don't know how much of that was like, there was also trivia going on right after, so people may be coming in and out. But and there was like a lot of new faces that I met, that people came up to me and said they loved the music and were really interested in the group. And yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Else? Comments or questions? Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks
We have
again.
another presenter to share with everyone today, Michelle Olson from ArtWise.
Hi, can you tell me when you have the slides up, please?
Yes, and we've got a starting screen, almost ready to start.
Perfect, thank you. I got a feedback on the regular feed, so I'm just going to go tell you next. Okay.
Vivian's working on it right now. It should be just a second.
Okay. My name is Michelle Olson, and I'm a senior citizen. For probably 25 years, I've been working in the field of literacy and art, mostly with money from the National Endowment from the Arts and the Illinois Arts Council and also Illinois State Board of Education. Our program was try to work with teachers to get them to incorporate the arts in their classrooms to help start at an early age. So we did institutes for teachers, eventually resulting in the Urbana School Arts program. One thing that occurred to me when I was working was that when I went into the schools, principals came up to me and they said the students involved in this program are better writers. They're more talk about images, and I thought, this is a literacy program. It's not just about art, it's about learning. So as I grew and my parents grew older, I thought this should be something we might include for seniors. Working with the arts gives a chance to be able to explore a vocabulary, a chance to talk about things. You'll notice with seniors, a lot of times they forget details. How many grandchildren do you have? Programs always ask them things that make them that can make them uncomfortable. When you look at a painting, when you look at art, it takes you away into another world. So I tried it at an assisted living program. You can see in the first slide I had brown hair then, now I have white. But what I wanted to do, if you go to the next slide, is just try this out on the general senior Urbana seniors who seem a little bit disaffected by our arts community. We have one community that goes to Cranard all the time, goes to the museums, and we have other people that are a little bit shy and uncomfortable about being able to talk about art because they're not artists or they don't have the background. So we publicized through the Urbana Library that we would have this program called Art Wise, meaning you would learn about art as you are wise. And so we came up with the idea with Urbana Free Library people saying, are you interested in art? You want to talk about art with your friends? You want to try to make art? The idea, it's going to demystify the arts for them. So you don't have any experience, and I didn't want any hot shots in there. I wanted people who felt they really wanted to know about art, but were not necessarily, artists themselves and didn't have backgrounds. So the Art Rise program introduced senior residents to different styles of art. And what we did was use a model that had been developed over the years of looking at art, being able to understand the language that we use when we talk about art, and to give seniors a really safe place to talk about art and also to make art. And it was really curious, the people that I attracted. I had a librarian, I had an art historian, I had a woman who teaches classes on Zoom to the Ukraine, all that were interested in art and really shy about it. In the summer program, we had 5 2-hour sessions at the Urbana Library. They donated the classroom space. They were just lovely. We had 10 participants that registered for the course. It was a really little room. There was a waiting list of 10 interested seniors, and we had classes all summer long. Can you go on to the slide that has the people with looking at a painting, please? Do you have it?
Is it the 2 people pointing at the painting while they're looking at it?
They're pointing at the painting. That's it. Okay, then I'll say next. Okay, so I had a grant from the Illinois State Board of Education through the University of Illinois to work with our Champaign-Urbana County teachers teaching art, and was a lucky recipient of 75 prints of art, of masterpieces of art. When the grant was over, I asked the university, what should I do with them? And they said, you could keep them as long as you continue to teach. So I had this wonderful, wonderful collection of art that I could share. So we began by teaching my students how to look at art and look for the aesthetic elements, the art elements that artists use: sensory, formal, technical, and expressive. I didn't want to intimidate people, But what we did was just explore, look at the paintings. If you go on to the next one, with class 1, with people drawing, we're looking at different elements of art in the painting and then turning around and creating art, line, shape, form, color, texture. We made art because the notion was you look at the painting, you look at the artwork, you see what the artist did, then you turn around and you practice it in an expressive manner. So next slide, it says class 2. We explored the color wheel. Now that was really interesting because a lot of my students had never mixed colors. You know, this is something that maybe you think everybody knows that yellow and blue make green, but they didn't. And they were so delighted to see the different colors that they could make and the shades and the tints. So they were working with that and then looking at art to see what the artist did. Class 3, if you look at the next slide, we were studying balance, symmetry, contrast, and unity, the formal elements, and using collage as a method to be able to express symmetry and asymmetry. Next slide, we're looking, let's go on to the one that has people holding up paintings. We looked at art to look for expressive elements, and then we began painting with acrylics. Now, these are people who've never painted before, and they were really shy about it, and did a really good job. They began to notice and began to talk very freely. Let's see what we have here. Okay, some of my paintings aren't showing up here. Let's go to the woman who's drawing. This woman came in with a broken hand, and this became one of my neatest students. She just continued on, and later on I saw her, and she's still painting since the class. Got another one there. Let's just scan through. There's something wrong with this presentation. Okay, can you go to the one that has a man with his hand? I'm sorry, this is not as technically good as I would like. What do you have there, Vivian?
It is the woman with her cast on holding a paintbrush.
Yeah, okay. Let's just go ahead, scan through these. Do you have did any of them come through that had pictures of art? No?
Yeah, we went past a lot of paintings.
Okay, for some reason they're not showing up on my screen. I don't know why. Okay, those are the paintings that we used, and we looked at them and did what we call scanning, where we talk about the art. We say, we look for different elements, line, shape, color, texture. Then we look for the expressive image, and we say, how did the artist make it look that way? In other words, if you ask questions with polar pairs, we call them, like, does she look like she speaks softly? Does she speak loudly? Does she look like she's kind? What did the artist do to make her look that way? And then the students began to understand that the use of tints and pastels would make that woman look soft. At any rate, the students went on to paint and to talk about paintings in every class. And eventually it was time to have a show, but we had nothing to show. And speaking to my son, who's an artist himself, he said, why don't you buy the students art materials and ask them to submit their 2 very best paintings. So I bought them all art materials, sent them through Amazon, and they painted at home and then came back together for a wonderful exposition. We invited the people from the library to come. They also shared research that they've been doing on their own paintings. So if you just want to scan through there, you can see the program. Just flip through the slides because mine is not showing up well. Let's see if I can get it. Aha. I'm sorry. So hard not being there in person. At any rate, it was a success. It wasn't a new program. What it was a new thing for me to be working with more able seniors. I had been working with seniors in assisted living amazing what kind of language came out of the class and how much involvement. One of the activity directors began to cry when she saw students having a big argument about whether abstract painting should be allowed. They thought there should be a law against it. And it was a really, really fun conversation that went on. But the people that I had in my class were much more with it and said that they were feeling a lot more comfortable when they were painting. They were looking at the elements and saying, this is what an artist must have done. So I thought this program was a success. I think it was difficult to do at the library because there was no water and no sink, and we had to really improvise when we painted. But all in all, I saw some of my students recently who want me to do it again. So I pass that on to you. I think it was it was a wonderful experience for me, a chance to get back and teach, which I love. So thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. You guys have any
Comments from the
questions?
committee? Questions?
I would just like to say that, it's wonderful anytime you can see people who are a little shy about it being, welcomed into the arts and finding a safe space to do that. And it seems like you really created an environment and a process by which they could feel confident and comfortable creating the art. And that's just fantastic. And the results are beautiful.
For sure.
Pretty outstanding. If you saw our first class where everybody was took home their paper towels because they thought they had pretty colors they mixed. So we went from that to actually create. They really did this so much on their own. I was really thrilled. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to share this and really to explore this research in a little bit different way. Champaign-Urbana is such an arts-rich community, but there are a lot of people who feel disaffected, and seniors most of all. Either you're always attending the openings and know about them, or you feel like you might not look very bright if you go. So I think it's an entree into a new idea. Thank you so much.
I have a quick question. It looks like a great program. Have you kept in touch with the artists to see if they're continuing to do some art on their own?
Yes, they are. I saw the woman that has the dress with the lemons on it. Because both she and her husband were participants, they got double the art materials, so they threw a party, a painting party for all their friends, and taught them techniques that they learned.
Wonderful.
Another woman actually started to look at art lessons online, and then when we came together, she brought her examples and then showed the others how to look up different ways to paint. I was at a lecture at Alice Campbell Hall and saw one of my students. She said, ever since I got my art, I've been painting and painting and painting, because I gave them like 12 flat canvases to work with. So they're still working at it. Some of them actually had gone off into photography because I had them look through their cell phones and take some pictures of floral scenes so that they could then create their own images instead of working with a pattern. And some of that was really good. There's one person that was not as excited about his painting, but his photography was fabulous. So he learned how to see. He learned how to make a photo that was balanced, and he learned how to capture the color and the contrast. So I felt it was successful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulty. It's hard to be away.
Thank you so much. We wish you all the best
Okay.
and enjoyable holidays as well.
Thank you. You too.
Our next item on the agenda today is the staff report. Welcome back, Kelly. Good to see you. Well, then they wear out after a while.
Hi, everyone. I won't take much of your time because obviously you've already had a lot of presentations happen, but I just wanted to come in and report on a lot of the stuff we've been doing with Urbana. It's been wonderful to work with Viv and Stephanie. We've had a great time. The other staff person, Elsie Hedgebeth, she had a prior commitment, so she couldn't be here tonight, but she does want to meet everyone. I think some of you might have met her already, but so I just wanted to go over a few things since I last came in to chat about some of the new programming and continued programming. So Sky Gallery is up and running. It will run all year long. I just put a few up there. It's not always based in Urbana, but about half of them will always be in Urbana. There's 7 altogether, and they move throughout the year. So I think 3 or 4 started in Urbana and then have kind of, a few have moved. I think Bob Chapman's is still in the same spot. They kind of, Adams Outdoor makes the decision depending on availability and things like that. But they'll move throughout the whole year until we select new ones next year. So just a really great way to kind of put art out in the everyday landscape, unexpected to see on the billboards. Since I last came here, we also had the Crystal Lake Park Art Fair. It was a little rainy. It was torrential rain, but it's a rain or shine event. And the thing that probably was the best part about this day is how touched the artists were by the people that came out. And they came out ready with rain gear and plastic bags and full umbrella. I mean, they came to look at the art and buy the art, and they were ready for the rain. And I think even the artists that were feeling a bit upset about the rain were so moved by the fact that they even said they might not even go to an art fair on that day, but the fact that they saw all these people come. We had over 500 people come, which is great for, I mean, it was basically rain and sometimes torrential rain throughout the day. So the good part was to see how many people supported it. The other great part was it was moved to a slightly different location in Crystal Lake Park. And it really is the location that we had planned the whole event around initially, but it's just been having construction being done. And so this will be its final place. And that was great because we discovered that it is going to be a perfect spot because it's right next to the large pavilion, near the lake house. It's visible from the street. Before, people kind of had to find it and know kind of where to go in the park to get it. But now you could be driving by and going, oh, what are those white tents? And so even people that weren't aware, it was very visible from the street. So between just getting the uplifting feeling of people supporting them, but also really finding that that's going to be the magic spot from here on out when we do it every year. Yeah.
That's Susan and Patch Adams on.
Yeah, it is. And so the other big part we've been doing since we last met is we did kick off our new monthly event in downtown Urbana, which is called Postmark, meaning obviously post-market, both market, outdoor market and indoor market, because these will be all year round, every single month. The first one we did in September was outside. We utilized the Busey Bank parking lot to do music as well as kids activities. And then we also worked with a lot of the local businesses to either have a special, have a food special, host an artist, put on a display, have a demo, all the different kind of things. And then what we do is every month we create this map, not unlike the Boneyard Guide. It's like a mini Boneyard, really. And so on the inside, there's a whole map, and all the venues that are participating are listed in here. And it's been great thus far, and I think the magic is going to be building it. We got to keep at it. We're noticing even more now. People are starting to recognize it, knowing it's going to happen. And then we've added a couple of components, like on that slide, the bottom left there, we created these little outdoor sandwich boards so that we could put those outside every single venue, so that once we went inside, the last couple of months where it's been colder, we're inside, those can then be outside to when people are walking around, they can find their venue. We also added last month a new incentive, which basically we prepared raffle boxes that go into each one of the venues, and people can go around and they can enter once at every venue. And then each month we pull a name, and that person wins a $50 gift card to the participating venue of their choice. And so we've already had our winner. They went to 6 venues in December, which is great, and they chose Art Coop. So we bought a $50 gift card to Art Coop. And so every month we'll be doing that. So it shows people that if they get around to several venues and enter, they have a much bigger chance of getting a gift card, and then the participating businesses get a chance for us to buy a gift card for them. So that worked very well, and I think we'll build on that every single month. The other part we do every month is we select an artist, and we create a limited edition postcard. So those are in the first 4 months we've done this. They're real printed postcards. They can be used as postcards, and so we have them at our table, and we hand them out. And once they're gone because they're all limited edition. But it's been fun to select an artist and having high-quality postcards printed, and they've enjoyed it, and people have enjoyed being able to pick those up and use those. Obviously, it goes along with the whole postmark look and idea of having postcards, and it's another way for us to feature local artists. The other big event that we did, which is kind of the way we kind of see Postmark, is basically it's bookended with two large festivals, one being Boneyard and one being the Fall Fusion Festival. So basically, once Boneyard hits, we're outside. And then after that, Postmarks go outside. And then the last one that's outside is Fall Fusion, and then the Postmarks will continue after that inside. So that's kind of those two bookmark festivals go between the indoor and outdoor aspect of Postmark. And this one was a large one. We did close the streets for this one. Postmark, we don't close the streets. But we worked with the Urbana Park District, and they let us use their wonderful stage. So we had music. We hired a professional pumpkin carver, who actually, at the time, was actually featured on Halloween Wars on the Food Network, so that was fun. He got second place. He didn't win, but that's fine. But we had all these kids' activities. There was face painting, there was balloons, there was caricatures, there was tons of photo ops throughout downtown. We obviously had Christine there doing, fire dance and fire breathing. We had all different kinds of activities, and then also special food specials and different features inside the businesses. Like Carolyn Baxley had two artists demoing outside, people doing plein air painting. It was a very fun day, and it actually was. We felt it was a very successful event, and I think a lot of people enjoyed the family side of it. I think people enjoyed kind of immersing themselves in downtown Urbana, and then I think the fall vibe. I mean, people really liked the backdrops and the pumpkins. We had, I don't know how many pumpkins. It was 8 pallets of pumpkins distributed throughout downtown, and so we tried to kind of transform downtown into a little pumpkin farm. But it all went very, very well. We were thrilled with how it turned out. A couple other things I wanted to discuss a little bit. We also helped do the call and coordination of the art show that rotates at Busey, right down here. At the second and third floor of Wealth Management. So we do a call for that, and artists submit, and then we coordinate the jury. And we had the opening, I think that was in October sometime, but a really nice turnout. They've done a really good job. It's really starting to gain momentum because they're doing the rotation every year now, and they get a great turnout for the opening reception. Sales are pretty good. In general, I think one year we got up to almost like 26 pieces sold or something. It's been really good because at the early stages it was kind of more of a learning process of they didn't have prices on the labels. I think people thought, oh, Busey owns these pieces. And so now we've really tried to work with them like, no, we need to let people know that these are for sale and promote the idea that these could be purchased. And so that's really helped it make it really worthwhile for artists to participate. And then a couple of last things. I think I mentioned this last time I was here, but this turned out great. We worked with the Homecoming Committee with the University of Illinois, and we did quite a few different components to it, but one of the most fun was paying artists to transform block eyes. These are about 3 feet by 4 feet. They're pretty big. They're big. Some artists, when they showed up to pick them up, they're like, oh, this is bigger than I thought. And then these 6 were distributed in downtown Urbana. Some are still up in downtown Urbana. We kind of let the businesses decide, like Art Coop really wanted to keep theirs, and they've got a nice big window, they can display it. Some people needed to change out their windows, and so we pulled them back in. But we did about 15 altogether, and then the rest were in downtown Champaign. But the artists went above and beyond. They did a tremendous job this year, and we had them all in our office for a while, and everybody who came in to visit, we kind of had them down the hallway. So you just kind of had this hallway of block eyes, and it just looked so cool to see all the different versions. And we just tell them, just work your magic, do what you feel. And then They always like, do I have to do a theme? And I was like, well, no, it's already a black eye. That's already the theme. So you do what you do. Oh, and then just wanted to highlight this just because it's kind of a blast. We just had the ACE Awards a week ago. Yeah, it was a week ago, which was great. We haven't had the ACE Awards since 2019. And so obviously COVID impacted it on a deep level. And so we were finally able to have it come back. And I just wanted to highlight because, Janelle won Artist ACE, and she's your current Poet Laureate, which is wonderful. Jill from Hui Boutiques, obviously is very established Urbana artist and has had shows in her home for many, many years. And she won for Advocate because she has helped us with Crystal Lake Park Art Fair and advised us so that we know things that can help the artist and help the artist feel valued and that we are thinking of their experience of an art show. I think some people only think of what the audience is experiencing, and we try to make sure that the artists are supported and feel comfortable, and she's been a critical component of that. And then, of course, we just heard Charlie earlier because the Rose Bowl won the business ACE. And they did a great, when they presented, Martin received the award, and it was a great little speech because he talked about how when they first opened, they would get calls all the time. When they first took over, they get calls all the time. Is there music tonight? Is there music tomorrow night? Is there music this night? And then he said, no one has to call now because there's music every single night. And the whole crowd went crazy. So it was the perfect speech. And then just to end off, a future thing, Elsie is working on Poetry Out Loud right now. The main difference is we are going to host Poetry Out Loud, the regional competition in Urbana. So we're moving it to the IMC. And so we've booked the space. We're hoping to maybe make it into a little bit more of an event. Obviously, we have to do the usual recitations and have judges judge it because that's the critical component. But we might want to have some additional poetry readings. Maybe Janelle will be involved, something like that. But we're excited to move it to Urbana and have it in the IMC and grow it into a bigger event because then those winners at the regional will then go on to state, which is exciting in Springfield. So just want to thank you because it's been a delight. We've loved it. It's been very exciting. Elsie has been fantastic. Like I said, next time we come, I'll make sure that she comes so she can meet everybody. But as people have spoken today with all the different grants, I mean, Urbana is a special town. And I don't know. We're just hoping to keep highlighting the magic that is Urbana. And it's been great. And I think we're just going to keep building and keep working and making it all better. But so far, even in just the short few months we've been starting to do this collaboration, I think it's made some major impact, and we've been thrilled. So thank you all very much.
Making it happen.
Right. I have just some updates of programming that happened over the past few months and then, or just a couple months, and then also some upcoming events. But I wanted to start off with the most recent event that we had featuring our Poet Laureate Janelle Davenport Pleasure. And Sarah and I worked diligently on basically showcasing what we're doing in Urbana at Allerton. So would you like to expand on that? And I can kind of flip through some of the photos.
Sure. Yeah, so it was a really nice night out at Allerton. They had just put all their lights up. Janelle had done a really good job selecting various poets. Some even traveled from Louisiana and the East Coast to perform, so that was really great. And we even had Mark Anthony Macon perform for us. And it was coordinated with Allerton. They also offered folks a free glass of wine with their registration, and everybody was given watercolor materials so that they could draw as they heard poetry. So it was overall a really great night, and I thought it was a really interesting venue to do it, because I know that Janelle had wanted to do more. So thanks again to Vivian for helping put that together. And yeah, and then Jake Fava also performed his songs, and overall it was just a really nice event. They probably had like 50 different Christmas trees set up all around Allerton, so it was definitely festive. And yeah, so we are actually going to be meeting this week to start our plans for next year's Poet Laureate program. So for anybody watching that's interested in applying for next year's Poet Laureate, we should be getting applications out in the next month or so. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be working on that, and it will be announced on social media, on our newsletter, and we'll just be spreading the word to spoken word artists to get some people to submit applications. Last week was the craft happy hour for December, and Carol Inskeep at the Urbana Free Library hosted this one on her own, and basically people were able to come in and create handmade holiday cards to send out to friends and family. So that's a monthly event that we are consistently doing, and just bringing in more people basically each month. So we'll be doing more of these in the new year as well. Another reminder, I guess, if you have not been to the Urbana Free Library, to take a look at the Artist of the Corridor gallery space. There's some limited time left to see Anna Gush's pastel pieces that she has displayed. They're really gorgeous, vibrant, colorful works of art. So I would say that definitely worth going in and seeing those pieces before it's the dead of winter and her work is taken down, and some new stuff will be going up, which is really exciting too. So that is something that you can look forward to. Tomorrow is a really exciting event that's happening. The University of Illinois College of Fine Arts is teaming up with us, the Urbana Arts and Culture Program, and we have developed this new initiative, which is the CU BIPOC Artist Collective. And so within that, it's basically consists of quarterly meetups where BIPOC artists can network, discuss the future of arts in Urbana, the community. And so this is an invitation to Black, Indigenous, and artists who identify as a person of color to come to Gallery Art Bar tomorrow from 6 to 9 and to basically unwind, meet fellow artists, network, share ideas. There's going to be some surveys that people can take to kind of share how they feel things are going in Urbana and with the arts. There's also going to be goodie bags for the first 40 guests that arrive. So we've gotten really fun swag bags from put together from local businesses in town. So Art Coop and CU CD Vinyl, Bake Lab. It's going to be really fun to just basically support artists of color in town, and we look forward to seeing what the turnout is tomorrow, and then just planning the next one. So if you or a friend or an artist who identifies as BIPOC, we would love to have you swing by and introduce yourself to other people in town. So yeah. tonight, right after this meeting, the Station Theater is having a holiday market with some local artists and some food vendors. More holiday markets, which is awesome. This is the first annual holiday local band merch mart that is being put together by some local music acts and gallery art bar. So some of the vendors include Afro D and Global Soundwaves, Clayton Burke Band, Emily Howe, Grace Slush, The Joy Machine, Modern Drugs, Sweet Milk, Ultraviolets, UC, and more. So this is a really interesting holiday market where you can go and support your local bands by buying their band merch, which is super cool. So a good idea to buy gifts for the family who are into rock bands, maybe. And this is the last weekend coming up for Riggs German Christmas Market at Riggs Brewery. I believe that market is open this Friday from 5 to 8, and then Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 7 p.m. So definitely one more opportunity to get local goods and handmade craft artisan goods. And last on here is a new initiative that the City of Urbana communication specialist and We Love Urbana has collaborated on this Trees and Lights from around the world. So this is a pretty cool project that's happening where downtown Urbana businesses are creating little installations of either trees or a light installation in their business. And it kind of goes with the theme of what their business is. So you can go around and see what different businesses are doing. I think that the upcoming Main Scoop has a little pink Christmas tree in their window that has ice cream cones on it. BR Bike Repair has a really cool tree that has all bike ornaments. So if you're around and you just want to kind of see what some of these businesses have done with either light displays or trees, I think that it'd be definitely fun to take a look at over the next couple weeks. But other than that, that's all I have for us tonight. And this will be our last meeting for 2023. I don't know if there are any questions, but there's definitely a lot to look forward to for next year.
Thanks for everything that you're doing, Vivian. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Right.
We'll be on the search for 3 to 4 more commissioners.
Yes,
so if
we
anybody's
will.
listening and wants to apply for to be on the Arts and Culture Commission, we're taking applications. And they would just look online and apply. They would go to the
Yeah,
Arts
if
and Culture
anyone's interested, they can look online. They can definitely email Urbana Arts and Culture. They can reach out on social media if they'd like. But an application can be filled out, and we can take a look at those. All right.
Do you have any other items to share with the commission or with our community before we adjourn today?
Well, just one last call for folks to go to Granite Art Museum to see Shozo Sato's ink wash paintings. They're only there, I think, through Friday is maybe the last day. So it's your last chance to see them. And he's really a local treasure, and we didn't get to see most of his personal paintings until this exhibition. And it's a really evocative show. So go and take a look if you get a chance.
Probably shut down the museum during the break, don't they?
I think so. And they're doing renovations too, so there's not going to be a lot of access for any exhibits for a while, I imagine.
Else? That time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays to everyone.
Travels if anyone's